MLO Project, recorded live every Friday from Utah to Georgia. And this is, or not Utah, Idaho. Why did I say Utah?
I don't know.
Idaho to,
I'm like, you left us out.
I did. I'm like,
geographically.
it's from Washington to Montana to Utah to Wyoming, just like basically everything around Idaho. But guys, I screwed that up, but we're not going to start over. So I'm going to own it. I'm going to own the screw up. Because I think I lump Idaho and Utah in kind of like the same conversation, so maybe that's why. But from Idaho to Georgia, this is the MLO Project, and this is a podcast made for you, the loan officer, the mortgage originator. We are here to help you talk about, or not you talk about, but we're here to talk about strategy, tactics. Man, I'm just out of it this morning. See, it's what happens when I try to add a little spice to the intro, something new, then it just gets me all wonky. But we're here for you guys. We're here to give you information, strategies, tactics, talk about certain trading topics, things that we're going to help you be successful, because success is a project. And that's why we named the podcast the MLO Project, which we are on YouTube now, by the way, so you can watch some of these episodes. So in fact, you could watch me screw up as opposed to just listen to me screw up on the intros. And so that we have a few episodes on that. And also, if you guys go to thebrokerjourney.com, I will be starting to create some articles based off of our interviews, which I have done with just Mr. Covey's podcast, which was a great interview, by the way. And so we're going to be definitely doing more of those. Now, I know I've gone a little bit too far without introducing my co-host, so I'm going to do that now. And joining me is Mr. Perfect, Michael McAllister. Michael, what's up, buddy?
Mr. Afterthought, Michael McAllister. How am I doing? I'm doing great, Frazier. Today's a great day.
He just was sitting there enjoying me screw up on the intro, right? I think he was just sitting there. He's like, F that guy, right? That's what he gets for always talking shit. So
plotting my revenge over here.
Exactly, right? And guys, we're excited. It's funny, as I was just saying, that we plan to record these every Friday. And then we end up talking about business for 45 minutes before we even get into recording the episode. But this is me and Michael's time, so I enjoy the time that me and Big Mike get to conversate about business. So we just geek out on stuff. And speaking of geeking out, today's episode is going to be about Google Leads. So I get it quite a bit through the loan officers that I interact with on a daily basis when they ask about hey, should I be running ads on Facebook? Should I be running ads on Google Leads? What's going on with AI and search, and how is that affecting Google, running Google ads and the type of ads and this and that. Now, I got out of I used to be all in on the ad game when I was running consumer direct and whatnot, but I've been out of the ad game for quite a bit. And so hey, I still play in it when it comes to messaging and creative and stuff like that. Sure. Landing page design, 100%. But actually getting into ad studios and running and doing the bid process and all of that other stuff, that's for other people, and that's for people like Michael. And so I wanted to have this conversation with Michael because we obviously at Empower LO, we run Google ads for our clients. Maybe this is something that's new to you. You don't know about that. So I wanted Michael to talk about maybe the style of ads, but also to answer those questions about hey, what is AI doing to Google ads, and what are we seeing with cost of Google ads over the last few months? Because ultimately you're playing against people with way deeper pockets than what you probably have to spend, and so how does that come into what you're paying for ads and whatnot? So I'm going to turn it over to you, Michael. One is maybe explain the type of ads that we run, and we run these for a reason. Why we run these types of ads, and then. What is AI doing to those costs or to the effectiveness of those ads, if anything?
Well, everything that we do is rooted in modeling a handful of companies, the companies that have been the best companies in consumer direct lead gen since I started this and continue to be those best companies today. Companies like Rocket, Veterans United, aka Mortgage Research Center. I think they're now something else, MR something, Mortgage Research something, but Veterans United is what they are. Bankrate, Zillow Home Loans, Lending Tree. These are the companies that when I was a loan officer and just hate. I was young and super high D personality. I'm in the Boise, Idaho market. Our average real estate agent back then was like 50, low to mid 50s. And so when I didn't want to generate business by working with real estate agents, I looked to Quicken Loans at the time to see what it is that they were doing. This is back in 2016. How is it that Quicken Loans is able to generate business? Because I knew from experience that agents in my market didn't even want to accept pre-approval letters from Quicken Loans, right? So my thought process is like, hey, who do realtors not like doing business with, but they still get a lot of business? The answer was really easy at the time. It was Quicken Loans. And so I start looking, okay, what is it that they do? And started with Google search. I mean, I'm fortunate enough that like my dad started telling me to Google shit in 2001, like the second year that Google was ever out. And I learned how to, I was like, I mean, at the time I was 7 years old with a computer in my room with internet access. So I learned how to do Google searches with like, you remember when you had to do like quotation marks and plus signs and minus sign modifiers and shit like that. So that's how I learned how to do Google searches. And I just have always throughout my entire life, like leaned heavily on Google. I was like one of the first people in my school to figure out that my teachers got all of our tests off of websites that were publicly available through Google. So I could literally Google on my phone in class, find the answers, and get like not saying that's what everybody else should do and that's what your kids are doing. But point is like I've just always been a geek about Google. And so that was the first place that I went. Is I started Googling like, mortgage loan officers near me, best mortgage companies near me, etc. What I found is every time I searched, Quicken, LendingTree, and Zillow were in the top 3 search results every single time. Veterans United would sneak in there every once in a while. And so at that point, it was like, oh, okay, there must be something here. I had read our friend Andrew's book, Andrew Pollock, Mortgage Marketing Manifesto. I read that book in October of 2016. And in that book, he like really discouraged adventuring into Google based on budget. Like search, keywords in the mortgage space were too expensive. Those keywords like mortgage loan officer near me, best mortgage company, those are, $20 clicks. And if you're trying to generate leads at scale, that's not gonna work out, right? So I kind of accidentally stumbled into Google's machine learning and broad match strategy, or broad match keyword strategy, where instead of trying to target those exact searches like mortgage loan officer near me, best mortgage company near me, etc. I honestly, what it came from was I read the first 10 pages of Perry Marshall's Entrepreneur's Guide to Running Google Ads. And I said, fuck this. Like, I can't, I'm a doer. I'm not a learner. Like, I'm not a reader. I'm a doer. I put the book away and I just went for it. And so I accidentally set all of my keywords to broad match instead of exact match, which was what the prevailing wisdom was at the time. And through that accident, I started getting monstrous amounts of clicks for freaking cheap. Like my average cost per click was like $1.30, $1.40. And I started getting leads. About 1 out of every 6, 1 out of every 7 of those clicks was turning into a lead. And so unintentionally, this like new strategy was born of like, and by the way, most importantly, when I looked at who my competitors for these keywords were, it was the same competitors. It was the same Quicken, LendingTree, Veterans United, Zillow. So I knew that they were also bidding on these keywords, that it wasn't just these like really expensive ones that they were bidding on, that they were bidding on these other ones. So then I start to look at what people are searching. Well, they're searching things like, how much house can I qualify for? How much down payment do I need? What credit score do I need on to qualify for a VA loan? Like those are the types of searches that were coming up. But because everybody was so used to targeting on Google, like mortgage loan officers near me, best mortgage companies near me, this was untapped territory. So fast forward to today, and that's still the case to some extent. Like to some extent, people like the PPC industry still has not figured out mortgage, still hasn't figured out that it's all about long tails. Now, in general, in general, Google's AI tools have gotten good enough that pretty much every industry is now using broad match, and they're now using like the responsive search ads where AI like creates your ad for you in response to the search and stuff like that. So in general, that playing field has been leveled pretty like quite a bit, and that's been over the last few years. But in the last 6 months to a year, we've seen a crazy like shifting trend, and that's really what we're here talking about. But yeah, I mean, what are we targeting? We're targeting people that are searching those long searches. How much house can I qualify for? How much down payment do I need? What credit score do I need to qualify for X?
And real quick, I just want to jump in there because that's guys, what I hope you're writing down exactly what Michael just said there about the long tail and what they're searching for. Because every time I have a conversation with a loan officer about like, hey, I'm looking for like SEO blog, SEO this, SEO that, or paying for ads that I'm trying to rank, I ask like what, based on, what research or whatever. And a lot of you so the problem is that a lot of you, when you're thinking about doing any type of marketing, but especially when it comes to like search, especially if you're doing it yourself, is you're thinking about the lens of a loan officer and not as a consumer, right? So they're like, I want when someone is like the first time home buyer, right? Or VA loan, right? Like, and Michael just mentioned like what you're competing against and the money they're spending on that. Like and not only is that not like really what you want to rank for, right? But it's also not what the search is, but like how much house do I qualify? And I go through this exercise with my people all the time so I can get them understanding, like when you're creating content, understand what the question is, not what you think it is, and not sure as hell not what your question would be. Right. I get that all the time. Well, if I'm, hey, if I was, I wouldn't respond to that, or I wouldn't do that. You're not the audience because you had or like just me as a marketer. And we were just talking about this, like before we won't say what we were talking about, this before we got on our podcast. And as marketers, Michael and I look at something like, oh, well, that's a whatever, who gives a shit about that? But I'm like, but the target audience, absolutely will probably give a shit about that because they don't understand what we understand. So if like we were going to like do something like that, like we would be wrong because we're using the wrong lens. We need to be using the lens of the consumer. And so that's what Michael's talking about.
Yeah, 100%. In fact, what I'm doing, if you're watching this, you see I'm kind of distracted because I'm going on screen real quick. Or I'm going on my screen and I'm looking to see like what the top searches are for the ads that we run. And so, yeah, first time home buyer is a big one. That is a very common one that people run. They usually modify it with like the state that they're in. So first time home buyer, Arizona, first time home buyer, Idaho. How much house can I afford? One of the biggest ones by a mile. How to buy a house. Dude, how much house can I afford just keeps coming up. How much home can I afford?
Buying a house with bad credit, is that up there?
Maybe, but we actually run.
I'm not saying to run ads to that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think it'd be tough for us to see because what I'm looking at is like based on 90 days of like data,
gotcha.
Actual clicks, and so because we have what are called negative keywords where we say, hey, if they say if they say bad credit in it, we typically exclude that, right or wrong, like that's what our clients want, so we do it. And then we also have every number under 600 listed as a negative keyword. So if somebody says I have a 545 credit score, ours won't show up. And so I'm sure there's a lot of traffic around that, which is why we've had to add the negative keywords. But from our experience, our clients don't like those ones as much.
Oh, 100%. They don't.
Yep. So yeah, but that's what we're, that's what we're dealing with. That's what we're working with. And so, the trend over the last 3 to 6 months, I would say, we've just seen costs go up. We've just seen the CPC, average cost per click go up. So our landing pages are converting at the same rates. The landing pages aren't doing any worse than they've done. But now the cost per click is going up. My competitors are the same in every market. I can see like what, who's competing with me on ads and whatnot. Those haven't changed. The market share of those competitors haven't changed, but CPC keeps going up. So what does that mean? To me, that means we have a lower volume of searches. than normal, right? That like if unless it's supply and demand in theory. Now I say in theory because at the end of the day, when Google is the market maker, you really have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. And so in theory, it's supposed to work like a true economic market, supply side, demand side. And so if costs are going up, that should mean either A, demand is going up, or B, supply is going down, or some combination of the two. And so at the point that we don't necessarily see demand going up, we don't see new competitors, we don't see competitors being more aggressive. We just see a higher cost per click. That tells me that we're seeing a lower supply of searches. And so in the last couple months, I've had some conversations with some individuals that lead us to believe that it likely has to do with AI, which is why we're here today.
Okay. So why would that, like, how is that affecting cost and volume?
Yeah. So in a general sense, you can just look at the questions that we are just talking about. How much house can I afford? Well, let me ask you, like, would you rather ask Google how much house can I afford, or would you rather ask ChatGPT how much house can I afford?
I would probably ask ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, exactly, right? And that's really it. Is like what we're seeing is ChatGPT is not a young person early adopter thing. ChatGPT has transcended like all demographics. And so you're seeing the people that would normally go to Google and type this stuff in because that was the quickest path in their mind to getting an answer. You're seeing these people have experience with ChatGPT, have ChatGPT on their phone. I say GPT, it could be Gemini, it could be, whatever. But people have these AI tools on their phone, and like that's the first place they go. Last week, and this is another thing that I didn't even consider, but last week I searched on Google, and it offered to put me into AI mode. And so I click into AI mode thinking, oh, there's just going to be more AI summaries at the top. And AI mode completely got rid of any ads on my
That's
screen.
what I was going to ask you about when people are searching on Google and they're not doing that, but then they either get the answer they want via an AI,
summary
at the top. And by the way, guys, like that's above all ads.
Yep.
Right. So like why go looking for an ad knowing that it's going to take you to like a forced squeeze page or landing page or whatnot, as opposed to getting the answer and then clicking and then that's starting. It's because there's clicks and links that you could go from that piece, or AI mode, which just takes you completely out of that interface. So
Yep. It gives you the answer, and then it gives you a couple citations where you can go to where those citations are at.
Yep.
But that's it. And so we've been talking about this. We've been talking about this with some other players in the space and friends, competitors, etc. And our feeling is that there will come a time where, like, you and I have talked about this. Attract and extract is like a platform model, right? And so Google, long before they had ads, like, was just a search engine, right? Facebook, before they had ads, they were just a social media platform. Threads, we just saw Threads get ads added, 3 to 6 months ago or whatever, and we all, like, when we started using Threads, knew it was just a matter of time. When are ads going to show up in our feed? TikTok, same thing. So ChatGPT, Gemini, like, these tools are going to get to the same place some way. Like, there's going to be free versions that people want to use that are going to be ad supported, and then those pay for placements and stuff. We just don't know how long it's going to be. And when it does happen, I think our clients are going to be better positioned than anybody out there, because we're going to stay in this space and we're going to continue to, like, try, be the best at search-based lead generation. But in the meantime, it's freaking scary. It's weird out there. I mean, we've seen our leads cost, like, if we look at our lead cost from a year ago to today, we're up 80-90%. 6 months, 50% in the last 6 months has gone up. It's leveled off a little bit, but we're talking average cost per lead for our clients going from 10, 11 bucks a lead last year this time to 20 bucks a lead right now, and so it's pretty serious.
Yeah, and the what this basically translates into is that if you're, well, two things I want to address. One is if you're doing this, if you're running, that means you need to be more dialed in on your conversion, right? You need to be way more dialed in on your conversion. And then also the same with like your landing page. Like you want to make sure that those are dialed in as much because you don't want to lose if you're not getting as much traffic or you're paying more for it. It's even more important that you those ROI metrics that you have tend to stay at the level that you need to. And so you need to make sure your conversations that you're having, your follow-up, all of those things are just even more important. So that's one thing that everyone understands is that like, hey, if I'm doing this, like I need to really be on my game for the other things when it comes to conversion. Even more important. Conversion is always important, but now it's even more important because you're paying more for the privilege, right? Second piece of that is people are like, well, I just go buy leads, right? Guys, like this is one thing that I've been trying to like get through your brains like as much as possible is that I don't care who you're talking to, right? And I'm not going to call them liars, but I will say they are self-interest based off of their product and what they're doing is that there's not some magical pool of consumers that only a certain segment or whatever touch, right? Now, certain places will have higher intent traffic, meaning like better quality of consumer and visitor and whatnot. Like, sure, there's going to be that. But if you're buying leads, it's the same because they're coming from ads and search too, right? Now, there's going to be
Best case scenario, they're coming from search ads.
Yeah,
like,
right.
But
like,
there's a chance they're not.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, exactly. Just like, again, everything being equal, it's just so like that search will also affect that, also affect the cost, right? And then you have like the attraction piece of it of like the nerd wallets, the lending trees, the bank rates, and of it when people are just searching for certain things and they land on those online properties. And then there's a segment or journey from that as well. Now, some of those you can't play into as far as like buying leads. Some of them you can. And so that unfortunately gives more power to those online properties as well and puts them more in control and be able to run that game. Now, the problem is that a lot of those are competitors now, right? And so, and not to get into a whole conversation about like Zillow being your competitor, but they're a mortgage lender. So if you're, we're obviously a podcast for loan officers. And so if you're spending any type of money on Zillow with co-marketing or anything else, is like you're giving money to a competitor. Right. And there's no debate or conversation around that. And I know it's different because you don't view Zillow didn't start off as like a competitor or a mortgage lender, but they are now. And so like if you're a loan officer and think about your biggest mortgage competitor in your market and just say like, would you pay them for leads? No, of course you wouldn't. It wouldn't even be a conversation. You look at me, you're like, what are you, an idiot? Of course I wouldn't. But like, we don't have that same mindset when it comes to Zillow. I say all of this just to understand is that like, I know we like to look for ways around like things that that like are kind of out of our control or like how we get around certain things. But like, guys, this is just the way that we're going with AI and search and all of this. This is why it's so much important for the things that will empower. Yes, obviously we have a service that does this, but on top of that is like, we're your marketing partner, right? We're your all-in-one, meaning like, if you want to run ads, cool, we're there. But if you want to learn to organically attract, consumers and then have the follow-up systems, have the strategies and tactics, we're there for you too, right? And this isn't like an Empower LO pitch, but I'm just saying like, that's important to your business too. So if you've only been like a paid guy or gal, right? Like start to learn how to do this stuff organically because it's going to be your invested interest to do so.
Yeah. I mean, if you weren't investing in SEO for the last few years, like you had no chance. You had no chance to be one of the first like recommendations from the AI engines. Right. Yep. And it's like, so the people that are getting business from this new wave are people that are investing in that organic stuff, not necessarily the paid. Now, I do think that's going to shift again. I do think that they're going to find a way to monetize this, and that advertisers are going to have a place. And I think there'll probably be a gold rush again before that gets saturated. When that's going to happen, I have no idea. And in the meantime, you're exactly right. Like every reputable lead source is going to be seeing raising costs as a result of this, because if they're doing there's a reason we went to Google. There's a reason we never ran Facebook ads for our clients, even though I run Facebook ads for my agency. We know how to run Facebook ads, but the reason why is because we know that the best companies, the companies that LOs buy leads from, they don't generate those leads on Facebook. And if they did, nobody would buy those leads from them. And so It's all comes down to search. And so if we're feeling the heartburn from that, if our clients are feeling the heartburn from that, you will too if you're going out to the market to buy leads.
Well, I think that's the way we end this podcast, man, because that's the message, right? That's the message. And guys, look, if you do need assistance with doing this stuff, or you just have questions, you want to get a strategy call and just want to learn information, just check us out. Go to empowerlo.com. We're happy to have a conversation with you. My man Coop is happy to talk to all of you. It's actually Corey, by the way, but
call him Coop. Call him Coop. He'll think it's
Coop.
funny.
If you guys do, yeah, he'll love it. He'll love you for it. But we're happy to talk about this stuff and give you some information and things that we're doing. And if you need a playbook on the organic and how to attract my man DC, who's also an Empower client, by the way, but DC, Darren Copeland and myself, we released our book, The Green Zone Project, and it is hit on the top 10 charts. It hit #1 in mortgages and is the #1 new release in Amazon for our genre. So go check it out. Link is in the show notes for that. Would love you to have a copy of that. And for those of you that are looking for the organic and just a simple playbook to use, go ahead and check that out. So, my friends, on behalf of Mr. Hot Sauce McAllister, I am Frazier. This is the MLO Project, empowered by Empower LO. We're here every single Tuesday to give you guys the information that you need to be successful, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.